All right. I know it's been a while, fam, but we're alive.
Yes. Yes, we survived. We have lights. Just to let the listeners know, we live in Houston. We got hit by that Hurricane Beryl, which, I mean, wasn't the most powerful of hurricanes. I wasn't here
Category
for,
one.
yeah, I wasn't here for Harvey, and I heard Harvey didn't even take out as much power as it did here. Like, people had their power out for like almost a week here. It was absolutely insane.
And by people, we're talking about me, all right? Like,
It's about us.
oh, you're right, you're right, you're right. Actually, technically, I got my power back before you did that, which is kind of absurd. But yeah, it's like, nah, this was actually kind of absurd. This was kind of insane. See, I wasn't here for Harvey either, because school and whatnot. But yeah, from what I heard, this man, Texas, you really showed your face when it comes to everything. Hey, center pointless, so I'm need to talk with you for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Cause y'all really had us out here sweating, literally.
Yeah, so this was supposed to be so last week we were supposed to drop a specifically just Wolverine character study. This week was supposed to be specifically Deadpool character study, and the next week would be our Deadpool and Wolverine movie review, but we're gonna combine the Wolverine and Deadpool character studies together, so it's going to be pretty condensed, not as in detail as we were originally planning to do, since we just barely got powder back. But we're just going to quickly talk about our experiences. Meech, how did you survive? There's timestamps below if you just want to skip ahead if you're listening.
All right, so how did I survive? Well, firstly, you know what I'm saying, I had to go out and get power the old-fashioned way. I had to, go find a water wheel. I had to go connect it with a dam. And don't ask me where a dam is in Houston, but just know that I found one, okay? And then I had to jerry rig it. Of course, I'm probably did like a bunch of illegal acts while doing it.
Like Pikachu and Ash?
Yes, literally. I basically did like a multitude of federal crimes. But in any case, right? But in all reality, like literally, I just stayed with some family who had a generator. We kept that running for as long as we could. Eventually, usually that person got power, but got limited power, so we still had no AC.
Mhm.
And then I got power back and was like, nah, you coming with us. And it basically became a full reverse until they got full power back 2 days ago from when this was recording.
That's crazy. So Monday, the day of the hurricane, I lost power, and then I got it back all day Tuesday. So it's good Tuesday, and then Wednesday morning it went out, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like when I woke up, I was like, "Oh, it's really dark, like outside. It's dark in my house. I don't know why." And it's like, "Oh, the power went out." So I was like, "Okay, it'll come back on," because it was literally on all day yesterday. It didn't come back until that Saturday, like in the middle of the day, dude. When I tell you, I was sweating. Dude, I was walking around in tank top and booty shorts. It was
Hey, yo. And tank top and booty shorts is as egregious, but I mean, I wasn't much better. Literally just I was in one article of clothing. Take your guess as to which one it is. But yeah, it's like I was only in one article of clothing whenever I was home because somehow, some way, my job apparently still had power.
same.
So as such, they were like, "Hey, can you come in?" And it's like, it's either between staying here in this AC-less hot sauna, getting cooked alive, or go to work. I'm picking work.
Yeah, that's the only way I was able to charge my electronics. And then another thing that changed me into like a Karen this week, my first like experience with being a Karen. There's this stray dog that's like outside my place. And like you've been to my place. So I'm like on the third floor, right? So like it's been hanging around ever since like last I want to say the day of the hurricane, like right after, been hanging around my place, and my neighbors keep feeding it. So it keeps coming back and it's basically camped out. So I called like the animal protective services twice. And like the first time I called them, they were like, "Oh, we're gonna send someone out and like get it picked up." And I was like, "Okay, bet." Day passed by, they ain't sent nobody. So the next day I called, I was like, "Okay, yo, I called yesterday. we're gonna get the stray picked up. And this is not like a small dog. This is like a dog that if things go awry, you're gonna have to box with it, with your life on the line. So this was egregious. And then I called my HOA. So we're gonna get this situated because what is dog spelled backwards?
God.
And the reverse can also be the opposite. So I can't have anything to do with the op of God.
Hey, yo. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna need you to calm down with this anti-dog agenda, because you ain't about to pull a MAGA with dogs out here. I will fight for a dog the day I die. I need you to get it together. But yeah, no, some dogs are kind of egregious. I'm not gonna lie to you. One hit of rabies and it's over for.
Exactly. This is like a pit dog. It's a pit mixed with something.
Hey, just leave it alone. You'll be fine.
Hey, I'm like Cardi B and Bodak Yellow. If you see me, we don't speak. Don't mess with you. So we just be passing.
You a dog? You will run. You make funny moves. All right.
So with that, I'm Demetrius,
and I'm Demetrius,
and Meet present
the Blurred City Podcast.
All right, so we've already kind of gone off rails, but we were trauma bonding. Meech, can you hit us with that legal spiegel?
Purpose of this podcast is to explore digital and print media. All sources we own are owned by their respective companies, and our thoughts and opinions are strictly our own and reflect no biases or corporate agendas. Your discretion is advised.
All right, so for our first episode of this month, we had a reconstruction of X-Men Origins Wolverine, completely reworked that. And then, so this week, as mentioned, we're going to do a Wolverine and Deadpool character study. So with that, we're going to start with Wolverine since it was intended to be done last week. So with character studies, we often break down storylines, backstories, their creations, famous allies, different just mindsets and philosophies. So, Meech, do you want to kick us off with the history of Wolverine's conception?
All right, so we got Wolverine, a.k.a. Logan, a.k.a. Weapon X, a.k.a. James Howlett. We got a man of many origins, of many retcons. He first debuted as an antagonist for the Hulk. Yes, he first appeared in a Hulk comic in the 70s. And with that, right, he, of course, you know him by his signature yellow outfit with the claws, you know what I'm saying? And technically that became a retcon because originally the claws came out of the gloves, but then it turns out it came out of him. But yeah, he's pretty much the premier mutant of society. In fact, it was retcon that he was a mutant because they never explained his origins at all in the Hulk first appearance.
That. Yo, did he have the bone or the adamantium in the first appearance?
Adamantium.
Mine.
But yeah, it just looked like metal claws, that were just part of the gloves. And it turns out it was part of him. But yeah, so he's the premier mutant. Like, he's probably one of the biggest anti-heroes out there because like very shortly after his appearance in Incredible Hulk, he immediately got sent over to the X-Men with the Chris Claremont run. And with that, right, he pretty much was defined by these few characteristics. All right, his healing factor, which is absolutely absurd. His claws, his willing to kill anybody. His the love triangle between him, Scott, and Jean.
The potty mouth.
His potty mouth, his hairiness, and the fact that his memories are Swiss cheese. All right, as I mentioned, kind of in the Wolverine, in the Wolverine deconstruction reconstruction episode, essentially, like, his memories is actual Swiss cheese because he's been used by various governments to basically be their personal assassin, if you will. Various different organizations, like almost every single organization that you can think of has probably messed with this man at least at some point, like by, hey, you go take care of these targets, we wipe your memory of it. Heck, we even will go out of way to wipe memories of you. And just because of that, like, he has like severe identity issues. Like, he don't know who he is, but all he knows is what he does best, and he's really good at it. But what he does best at is nothing kind.
Yeah, so that's definitely interesting seeing how he because I know him and Hulk are like they be opping in a lot of comics, different mediums. I know there's like the Hulk versus with those two. Obviously Logan, which we'll touch on, has a big Hulk connection. And then just like other battles that they've had across space and time, apparently. So with that, we can talk about our love for Wolverine growing up, just in the different mediums that we've seen him. I know you're super big into the comics. I haven't really been a huge X-Men comics person. I've mostly tangentially seen the X-Men just kind of connected, particularly even with Wolverine, him popping up in other people's stories, but I've mostly seen him in the movies and then television, and then a little bit in gaming. There hasn't been like a lot of X-Men video games, but like Spider-Man Web of Shadows was one where he popped up. I absolutely love that boss fight. That was really hard, but it was super fun. Yeah, that's
I don't know how it was hard for you, but that's probably because I knew the answers to the trivia questions, and also I was juggling this man like it was nobody's business. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I did not land on the ground when I was fighting him.
Don't you fight him twice though? I think
Yeah.
it's the second. There was the second fight that I had problems with.
You're talking about symbiote Wolverine.
Yes, yeah. The first one I was good with. The second one, that's where it was just like, oh my gosh, because I was fighting the church, I had to stay off the ground.
Ooh, oh yeah, that one was actually kind of a problem. I'm not even gonna hold you, but yeah, it's like
So like even with X-Men '97 and the original X-Men series, he's always been, particularly in the movies, like with the Fox movies that we'll touch on, promoted as the top X-Men or even the X-Men. Even Deadpool says it himself in the trailer where it's like you're the X-Men. So like Fox really centered those movies around him, and I believe even the Days of Future Past, that's actually in the comics a Kitty Pryde story, right?
yeah,
He's the protagonist.
it's Kitty Pryde in the comic, but they made it Wolverine in the movie.
Which was a good choice because again, like we were rocking with Wolverine all the time. He's like the only X-Men to get a true solo film. Trying to think of it so far. I mean, outside of Deadpool, well, he's technically not X-Men, but yeah,
I was like, he got 3.
yeah, he has his own like set of solo movies. And I know you mentioned that it was kind of like planned to have the others have it, but it ended up getting combined into First Class, and then just like, yeah, television and film. And then even like there's like this anime styled X-Men that was like, that came out like years ago. That was, yes.
Yeah,
Love
the
that.
X-Men anime, and then the Wolverine anime was actually kind of lit.
Fire. So yeah, you can talk about your love for him before we get into the popularity.
Yeah, I actually say like again, like my first true exposure to Wolverine, of course, was the movie. Because I wasn't really too big into the comics till like a little bit later in life. But yeah, it's like going and reading like reading the comics, reading like who Wolverine is. I'm like, dang, this guy is him. But it also turns out like, man, they really shafted Cyclops because like if you look at it, like if you look at things from like before X-Men the movie came out, Wolverine, he was basically kind of the lancer of the group. He was kind of like, the one who was gruff, got things done, but also clashed with the actual leader of the X-Men at the time. He was not pure leader material, not at all. But then, like, the movie came out, and now suddenly he started leading the X-Men. Like, for me, true exposure, X-Men Evolution, that TV series, where all the other X-Men are teenagers except for him. He's the only adult besides Charles and Storm, which is kind of crazy. Then there's also like the X-Men anime series, which if you watch that, he did not use his claws on anything human. It's like he pops it out, he's threatening folks, but it never panned out to anything. Of course, it's crossover in Spider-Man, which you guys is but what by Spider-Man because I mean it's Spider-Man. But yeah, like I've seen like a lot of things that Wolverine's in. Perhaps like one of my keenest ones, and this is like one that still like kind of revolves to today, was not the X-Men, Marvel Ultimate Alliance game.
Yes.
Those were my games with Wolverine. That was perhaps the only game I had with Wolverine in it that you could play as him. And I always had him, Spider-Man, Hulk, and Ghost Rider on the team. And you want to know why? Because they were part of a team called the New Fantastic Four, which was a version of Fantastic Four where after the original died off, in quotation marks, they needed replacements, and the replacements were them four. The four demons.
That's not the Future Foundation, right?
No. This is like in the 80s.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
No, not the 80s, the 90s, my bad.
But I'm glad you mentioned the game, too, because that made me think of Marvel versus Capcom.
Oh, when I got into that later on, boy. I mean, Gordon wasn't one of my characters, but it was a problem. But yeah, it's like he's definitely like he and well, I endeared myself to him most because like in a sea of like just in all types of media where characters they are like, hey, we're gonna stop the bad guy. Hey, we're going to do things like the right way. In the tale of like Batman and the Supermans who and the Spider-Mans who like, you know, they beat their enemy. They're the Boy Scouts. And then you got Wolverine over here impaling a dude, ripping his guts out, sticking it inside their own mouths, and then kicking them off to the next enemy. I'm like, come on now.
Yes.
It's my first exposure to heroes killing folk.
I think even with the popularity, pre-MCU, I would say he was easily a top 3 Marvel character, a superhero or anti-hero. Post-MCU, top 5, just because like Iron Man definitely got up because of the MCU, and then Captain America as well. But I'd say he's still top 5 Marvel, and then with just superheroes in general, I'd say he's easily still top 10.
Oh yeah, easily. In fact, like this goes back to the New Fantastic Four story because of the fact that the reason those 4 characters were chosen specifically was that in the popularity polls, they were the top 4 heroes.
I'm surprised Ghost Rider in the 90s.
Oh no,
90s was a different time.
No, 90s Ghost Rider was a demon. Well, he's always a demon unless you count Robbie Reyes. But no. He was a straight. He was a dog. Like he shows up, he gets it done.
That's fair. So with that, we can touch on one of the biggest parts of Logan/Wolverine is his loss of memories, not knowing who he was. When you don't have like any of your memories, you can make the backstory what you want. Like you mentioned, there's a lot of retcons with Wolverine, especially considering like the fact that he's a character that quote unquote can't die because of his mutant regeneration. So once you retcon it, it can be a lot of things. But if you want to touch on his loss of memories, what his true or most canon backstory is or accepted one?
Yeah, in terms of like his most accepted like true origin right now is that like, hey, he was a kid born in like the 1800s, something like that, and he was with his father. Like, of course, he had his father and his mother. Then it turns out his father, basically, it was the origin in X-Men Origins Wolverine. It's basically that to a T, with the exception that the brother was not Sabretooth. If you just take the Sabretooth part out, and replace it with a completely different character named Romulus, which we're not talking about. But that was basically his origin, like his entire thing's like, hey, he accidentally kills his real father with his bone claws for the first time, and then with his slowed aging, he goes throughout all the different wars, joins like, and also one big thing is that he's Canadian, probably one of the first Canadian heroes, and he goes out, does his thing. He joins like the Canadian version of the Avengers called Alpha Flight. He goes through just all different types of things. Then Weapon X happens, gets his adamantium, loses his memories from them experimenting on him. Then after that, everybody else decided to want to take a piece out of Wolverine at that point.
Wait, quick sec. This is a quick diversion, but Alpha Flight was the crew that was in Immortal Hulk, right?
Yeah.
You know how much I love Immortal Hulk.
All right. Oh yeah, that was them.
All right.
That's why I said Canadian Avengers.
So with that, just kind of the loss of memories, it helps lead into his brutality. Like again, he's been a soldier, constantly fighting multiple wars. It's actually interesting mentioning that because we see how Captain America is. So obviously the time Captain America was based in is kind of like that jolly good boy where the heroes, whereas Wolverine, throughout the years has kind of been that soldier of, violence. But I think just like the importance of Professor X and then the X-Men,
Yeah.
something we could touch on.
Oh yeah, like the X-Men truly kind of gave him that home that he had for like one of the first times, because they were like kind of the one pillar that didn't let him down. Well, most of the time. I mean, I'm looking at you, Charles. You didn't onslaught. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, it's like Wolverine was definitely like one of those characters. Like, hey, he still proclaimed himself to be a loner. Like that's one of the big things. He was still considered a loner character, but he still ingratiated himself with the X-Men because like that's basically his home at that point. So like, but then he still like had his solo outings, like him in Japan and him just going around fighting different people. But yeah, at the end of the day, like X-Men was his home. He like adored like many members of the X-Men, including primarily like actually all of the girls. Not for sexual reasons, with the exception of Jean, but
it's like he's like a protective uncle or older brother figure.
Yes, yes, like how you see with the Rogue in the movies.
Yep,
that was basically him with like Jubilee from X-Men anime series, with Kitty Pryde in the comics, Dazzler, and actually Rogue herself. But yeah, like he definitely took up more of a protective role, and which actually only even like increased as soon as X-23 comes into the picture, aka his clone daughter. So I mean,
and then even with that, like just like the respect that he has for Storm, like he truly considers her like an equal, where it's like Storm could shut Wolverine down whenever she wants to, in terms of it's like conversations and who has the power in the situation. So that's something cool to like think about as well.
And her actual powers, I'm not even gonna hold you. Like she can, literally take him down,
Omega level.
Like she can take him down, but no, it's like she don't have to though, because like he genuinely respects her, unlike Scott.
Yeah. So like even just like it's really cool. Like Charles and Willie touch, if we think about the Logan the movie storyline, where it's like you saw it, he was like a father figure to him in a sense, where it's like, man, that intimate moment where even when Charles, this movie came out a long time ago, I guess I can spoil it, where Charles, he ends up dying, he's like, yo, that intimacy he had with Wolverine to be like, Logan, man, my guy, and then just like losing him like that, and you saw the pain, how it inflicted. You saw also how he took care of him throughout the movie, just like bringing him medicine, doling out, and when he like didn't, when it was dangerous for him to do it. So I think just like giving him that hope, which is what Charles presented. And we're going to cover the flip side of what would have happened if, say, Magneto got to him. But first, we have to go into this weird love triangle / square tangentially.
There ain't no square, my guy.
I'm only saying square because off in the distance is Madeline Pryor with
oh yeah it's kind of like one of the it's like one of those type of deals with
a rhombus, if you will,
where it's like it's like the three in a triangle and then him in the middle of it, him just trying to go in whatever direction is possible. But yeah, I think the reason he's like super attracted to Jean, it actually ties into his real origins, where as a kid, he actually had a thing for like this specific woman in his life, like when he was younger, and she was like a redheaded, strong-willed character, and obviously we know what happens to her. She ain't make it. So yeah, it's like Jean kind of like reminds him of her, and it's like, and also again like the fact that she's a telepath, she can like go into his mind, and the fact that he wants her in his mind. but yeah, in any case, like it's like he has this whole thing for her. The more like he loves her, and just like even during the whole Phoenix saga, like the fact he has to kill her at a point.
Mm-hmm.
Just
and in the comics, isn't there a storyline where he becomes the Phoenix?
Or oh yeah. So yeah, so that's actually an alternate universe future version of him that manages to get the Phoenix Force, Old Man Phoenix, if you will.
And I'm trying to think, is it him versus Thor, Old Man Thor? And in that storyline, is there another storyline with that?
So in that one, he comes from like the same timeline as like old King Thor, or as like King Thor, and basically like they're kind of allies as they go and try to fight basically old Loki, who was bonded with the Necro Sword, which I'm like, Jesus. But then the funny part is that like that Old Man Phoenix, he just keeps popping up in different timelines because he can do literally whatever he wants.
That's OP. Yeah, so I just like, even tying back to the romance, I think that, like you said, like him allowing her to get into her head, but it's similar to Charles, where, you know, Jeannie is like Charles on 10, essentially, where it's like she has the ability to calm him down the same way Charles did. And like, even like Wolverine has had his feral moments where he like really went feral, but then also just like that anger, the loss, the pain, the rage that consumes him. Jean was able to tap into that in a way that not a lot of people could, other than, say, a Charles. And then with the good guy Scott, you know, the somewhat Boy Scout Scott. I don't think he's like full on Boy Scout. I mean, in '97, X-Men '97, he's completely. I've seen some storylines where Scott has been a little bit more loose, if you will, but that dichotomy, it's like where we can never get along.
Oh yeah, nah, it's because of the fact, again, like, well, people partially think like, hey, it's because of the fact that he's with Jean and everything like that. It's like, oh yeah, you don't deserve her. But it's just from the fact that like at the time in the '80s, like the two of them, they just butted heads a lot, just off the strength of like both of them want to be the alpha.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like hey, both of them wants to be the alpha. But the only reason you're in charge is because Charles say that you're in charge.
Mm-hmm.
But we all know that I can take you down in a split second. And they've come to blows multiple times with both sides winning at different points. But yeah, it's just like, man, he just really starts like going through it. And they just really just naturally like they've sometimes got along. Mostly in like cases of like, hey, for the X-Men's sake, yes, and the fact that Magneto literally right there, we need to just cooperate, and it's like a Goku Vegeta type of deal.
I feel like they hate each other more than Goku and Vegeta.
Oh no, they do.
But you're right.
You're right. Think about like Cell Saga, like Goku and Vegeta, where like Goku's trying to be amicable, Vegeta having none of it. Wolverine is the Vegeta in this situation, but Scott is not the Goku of this situation.
Or even the Boo Saga, where you gotta get that emulator.
Oh no! Wolverine does not go evil by his own choice.
That's true. So speaking of him going evil, how easy would it for him to like stray from the path if, say, a Magneto got to him first? Because like if you think about Wolverine, he's so different from our typical hero, where it's like you mentioned, he's a killer, but he also has, you know, his mutant healing factor. How many times do we see, let's say, an anime or any other type of medium where it's like the villain, it's like, oh, you put him in the donut club and then he just heals and it's like, nope, you can't kill me. I have super regeneration powers. That's because I'm the bad guy. And then like we're watching it with My Hero Academia right now. Or it's like, what are we doing here? But like
burn, baby, prominent burn.
But then he has the claws, like he's like so different. And then what you outlined at the beginning, where it's just like, dude, if Magneto got to him first, considering the fact that Magneto is the exact opposite of Logan, he would have him in complete check all the time as his soldier.
Yeah, and also again, that's partially like because of the fact, like, again, you've seen like how like what would happen with Wolverine, like if he'd gone off the handle multiple times, like him being brainwashed by like the Hand, him being brainwashed by Weapon X, him being turned into a Horseman of Apocalypse. Like there's been multiple, or like just him just going into a berserker rage. Like there's been multiple times where he just lashes out, goes full feral. And speaking of feral, like the time when he loses his adamantium, gets his bone claws, and then he starts devolving into a pure animal. So yes, like there's multiple times where you've seen like all the type of havoc he can do when he goes off. look at the Old Man Logan storyline.
Which one we'll cover with Mysterio.
Mysterio, the only dub Mysterio ever got. But but yeah, so like with Magneto, like had he gotten to Logan like at an early point in his life and his career, he probably could have had him checked. But then again, I don't think he probably would have, considering when Magneto was born versus where Wolverine was like during World War II. Like,
well, not like that when they met, but say like if Magneto just before Charles.
Oh yeah. If it's like
that
before Charles, yeah. In that case, like it's round.
So yeah, even with that, just like Wolverine is so different from even the other mutants. Like obviously in the X-Men verse, like mutants are feared, hated, for multitude of reasons. But even Logan alone is hated more among other mutants because we always see him like the scenes in the bar where he's alone by himself, and the dudes are like, "Yo, what are you doing here?" And this is before they even know he's a mutant, and he's just having the time of his life before we got to get down. So. But we can. So with that straying from the path, we get into his like most popular storyline. So do you want to cover the movie version or the comics version? I'm good for both. I kind of want to do the comics version since we talk about the movie version literally every time.
Yeah, all right, let's go with the comics version.
Yeah. So if you want to kick it off, just like essentially it starts off with, we mentioned Mysterio essentially not wipes his mind. Mysterio plays his tricks. He makes him believe that all the X-Men are evil villains in the sense, and it kind of just starts with him killing all the X-Men and having
Old Man Logan, probably one of the best alternate universe storylines, to the point where when they killed Wolverine off in the main comics, they brought in that version of Wolverine just so they could have a Wolverine on the team, even though they already had another Wolverine named X-23. But yeah, it's like that storyline, that's pretty much all about like him, settling down. Basically, the movie Logan took huge inspiration off of Old Man Logan, just him grizzled. He doesn't like popping his claws out because it reminds him of him murdering everybody, and just him being, and then him just encountering like at America where the villains won, and then him facing a Sweet Home Alabama Hulk.
Maestro.
No, it wasn't Maestro. It was just Sweet Home Alabama Hulk. There's no Maestro there. Nah. We do not disrespect Maestro by
the incest Hulks.
Yes.
So I forgot what, I know he had to go cross country to deliver something, right?
Yeah, and it was to deliver a package to a certain family because of the fact that like his family was getting accosted by the incest babies, and he had to go cross country so he can get enough money to come back, so that way he could so he can pay off, so the family would be good forever. 2 guesses as to what happens when he gets back.
Chow time.
Yeah, so and that's at that moment with him seeing his family dead, knowing that the Hulks did it because a witness literally told him like, "Hey, the Hulks came by your place," and he just like with no words in that entire issue. Well, at the end there, you just hear snick, and he pops the claws out, and it has for the first time in that issue.
One of the most popular scenes in comic book history, where the Hulk ate him, and completely devoured him. And then because of his healing factor, he regenerated with inside Hillbilly Hulk's stomach and then tore out, that's an insane scene. So yeah, definitely Old Man Logan is one of the most incredible ones. And then even just like quickly with the movie version, just seeing how I mentioned his relationship with Charles, how he grew with X-23, and just how the other kids idolized him. In a sense, where it's just like, yo, you were one of the last heroes, one of the last gunslingers, if you will, of a begotten era. And just like kind of like even with the ending where both of us were in tears, saluting him off. And we actually thought that was the true end of Wolverine in cinema, or at least Hugh Jackman was Sean, but thankfully not.
Thank you, Deadpool.
Yeah, so with that, we'll wrap up just kind of with the relatability of Logan. This one is pretty tough, honestly.
I mean, hey, anybody can relate to times where like you sometimes have identity crises. or just having issues with like feeling like you belong anywhere. Because of the fact like, hey, like I feel like I don't belong in like my own blood family or anything like that. But Wolverine shows like, hey, I can find like people who can actually accept me. I can find like folks who can truly be with me, folks who accept me for who I am. And even if I don't know who I am, they help me to form like this new version of me going forward.
That's a good point. Definitely, just because with him having lived like centuries long, he's had to transition to different stages of his life with different people. And we mentioned the X-Men becoming his home. So like even with life, as we transition from living at home originally growing up to going off to college, moving to different states for work and family and all different reasons, the family that we find along the way, I think we can relate with that with him through the X-Men. All right. So now we get into sicko mode. We cover Wade Wilson, Deadpool, the Merc with a Mouse. So if you want to cover his conception, history of conception, which I was able to read before we lost power when I was doing my research.
Ooh, all right. Wade Wilson, Deadpool, initially conceived by Rob Liefeld in the 90s as a straight ripoff of DC's Deathstroke. We're just ripping the Band-Aid off on that one. He was conceived as a ripoff. I mean, having a mercenary who has a full mask appearance with black eyes around it, who use swords, and his name is Deadstroke, Dead Cool, and his last name is literally Wilson, and his first name is just Slade, but instead of the SL, it's a W. What do you think about that? He is literally. Oh no! And it's not even that. It's not even that. That's not even the worst part. It's the fact that his first appearance, which is in the New Mutants comic, right? New Mutants 98. He literally was just Deathstroke because of the fact he actually was kind of like a sinister character. He did not make jokes at all. The version of Deadpool that you're thinking of, the version that's on my t-shirt right now, is not the Deadpool of his first appearance. He was literally just Deathstroke in red.
Oh, yeah. I think just like something with Deadpool that's always been important to his character is the satire and the fourth wall breaks. I don't believe he was the first one to do. I think it was She-Hulk, right?
Yep, it was She-Hulk who was the first one.
Deadpool was the one that more or less popularized it. Seeing him in the different mediums. I didn't play his video game, but I like watched like YouTube like cinematic versions of it, and just oh my god, the level of fourth wall breaks in that and degeneracy is insane. Mostly I've seen him through kind of other people's stories. So like particularly with Spider-Man, I think that's where the most like quote unquote team ups I've seen Deadpool kind of enter the fray before Ryan Reynolds took the mantle of it. But yeah, just like satire and fourth wall breaking is really key to him.
Oh yeah, and that's funny too because like he really went into like full wall break, like fourth wall breaking mode, like in his first solo series. So like in his first main appearances, he was just a straight up Deathstroke. And then as soon as I forgot his name, I think his name Joe Kelly, but like yeah, as soon as Joe Kelly got his hands on him, he's like, nah, we need to distinguish him from Deathstroke. And then gave him like, hey, we're gonna make him a more slapstick character, more of a fourth wall breaking, hijinks levels of just pure zaniness, and it's just absolutely gonna be hilarious.
Do you know why she got his first solo run, since he was introduced kind of as just like a mercenary hire of the day in a sense? Like what kind of like pushed him to get his own solo runs?
Well, it's partially from his first appearance, and then from his first appearance, considering like just how Deathstroke like he was, like even Deathstroke had his own comic in the 90s. So the fact like Deathstroke got signed, you know what? Hey, give Deadpool his own version as well, and also just the fact like hey, he looks the part because again, this is the 90s. This is where where Edge was the name of the game.
Yes.
So edgy, you can, like, just touching the 90s will give me a cut.
Like them fresh fades they had back in the 90s.
Not everybody has the fresh fade. Like,
Sure.
I was like, don't say that. Don't say that. Do you want the mullets to come back? Because they have
a fade. A mullet is not a fade.
No, but still, the 90s was a weird time.
I've been seeing some more mullets in the recent years, Mitch.
Man, we do not need to go back to that. We do not. Let's move on. Let's move on. But yeah. Like, so, yeah, as you mentioned, like, from that moment on, everybody just loved Deadpool because of the fact he was a fourth wall breaking maniac, and just, yeah, like, and he was just such a popular character from that moment on, to where, like, in terms of exposure, like, he really didn't. Funnily enough, he did not get much exposure, like, in terms of, like, outside appearances. It was just, but except for, like, well, he does appear in the X-Men anime series, now I'm thinking about it.
That's what I'm thinking. It's like he's popping up more than, like, his own established run. It's kind of like how I've experienced Deadpool for the longest time before Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, like, my first exposure to Deadpool was Ultimate Alliance, the first game. Where he was just like, who? I was like, who is this guy? Why doesn't he look like Spider-Man?
And even then, it's a team up. So
I was like, why does he look like Spider-Man?
So I think it's really interesting. Like, obviously, him being unable to die, how he initially gets his powers, just generally accepted canon with him having cancer, wanting to essentially survive it, find a way to heal. Through that, he kind of goes into the program to to figure out, hey, if you have any latent abilities, let's see if it can awaken. So with it, it's his regeneration factor is so powerful that it ends up making him deformed. Was he always, like, even in his initial conceptions, disfigured in a sense?
Yes. In his initial conception, you never saw him outside of the mask. Literally, it was just afterwards, like in his Soul series, that's when you saw him looking like Freddy Krueger.
So kind of just with that being unable to die, another ability that we're used to seeing in villains. And again, like, obviously he was introduced as a villain, one of the most popular anti-heroes in a sense, but that kind of, like, shaping him. He's had storylines where he's literally, where with Thanos, again, we mentioned Thanos' whole point of the Infinity Gauntlet and Infinity Stones was to court the embodiment and representation of death. Death herself is in love with Deadpool.
Deadpool's in love with her. I'm not even gonna, like, that is just, like, we talked a mess about Wolverine, Jean, and Scott. No, this is in pure Deadpool fashion, the most messed up love triangle of all time.
This is deplorable.
This is pure degeneracy. Got to the point where literally Thanos said, you know what? Just so you can't have death, I'm going to curse Deadpool with the curse of life, meaning he can actually not die. Oh, he is actually physically immortal. You cannot have him death, so have me, please. Baby, please.
I'm so glad they changed his motivation to be balance, tap balance, because Thanos is a simp in the comics. So even with that, another of his abilities, I remember having a conversation about this with you before. In some mediums, he can teleport, but his ability isn't necessarily teleportation. He has a device to do it, right?
Actually, it's even more messed up than that. So how it works is that, you know how Nightcrawler, before it got retconned to oblivion, his father was a demon apparently demon Azazel. That Azazel, right? He had multiple imp children who could also bounce in and out of from hell to earth, right? So Wade Wilson, he decided to capture one of these little imp babies and basically have it as an indentured servant.
A Pokemon.
It's basically his Pokemon, and his Pokemon's only move is teleport.
It's like your Pal World, your servants in Pal World.
Nah, they ain't servants. Nah, they ain't servants. Except for the colonizers. Nah, they much lower than that. But my actual pals, they my pals. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's like literally he just has the indigenous servant just be like, hey, bamf me here, and then bamf.
So does he have any other abilities? Obviously, like he's a soldier, so he's going to have. He already had the training for it. Obviously good with swords, but I mean that's again training that he already possessed.
I mean, really, the only other ability that you can actually think of when it comes to him is the fact that due to his fourth wall breaking, his mental like shenanigans, and just how insane he actually is, like all telepaths are basically told to stay away from him.
You don't want any of that.
Like not even just all telepaths. Taskmaster is tasked with like I cannot fight him.
I remember it was a Spider-Man series and it introduced Deadpool, and Taskmaster was like also the villain of the week, and Deadpool Taskmaster was going up against Spider-Man and he was like copying his abilities, and then he came up against Deadpool and Deadpool was just doing the weirdest stuff and absolutely waxed Taskmaster.
Yes, because literally he is so insane that you cannot predict what movie he's gonna make. Is he gonna slash at me? Is he gonna give me a rubber chicken? Is he gonna shoot me with his AR-15? I don't know.
And then you also have to think, if you don't have the ability to die, you don't have the reservation in battle to like self-preservation. So you can literally do anything you want to succeed. So with that, what are some of his best storylines?
So some of his best storylines, again, like a lot of them deal with just him teaming up with folks. Of course, it's like his main run, you know what I'm saying? The one that establishes him as a kooky maniac. It's like this one time, like him teaming up with Cable, like in the Cable and Deadpool series. There's also this one time where in his ongoing series, he actually ends up to marry, like, I think like this queen of the demon realm. And in that, literally, it actually won a Guinness Book World Record for how many characters can appear on a single cover of a comic book.
Dang.
So yeah, he literally does everything. But yeah, I think like in terms of his biggest things, like him teaming up with the Thunderbolts, and then also his major team up with Spider-Man in the Spider-Man Deadpool series, where again the two funniest characters in red teaming up to literally cause mayhem. And it's funny too because think about between Spider-Man and Deadpool, Spider-Man's the more serious one of the two.
Somehow,
like even Spider-Man's just like, bruh.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I do have it on our rundown. Spider-Man's relationships to both Deadpool and Wolverine. It's almost like it completely shifts because like with Wolverine, he's the annoying one.
Yep.
Always like bugging him. But then when it flips to Deadpool, he's the serious one where Deadpool is always bugging him.
Yep. It's almost like, is this how I am with Wolverine? The heck? Like, yeah, he's just like, man, I need to go apologize to Wolverine. Man, I need to go apologize to this man for what I've done. But yeah, it's like Deadpool. Also another comic book thing that he has. Again, this is about to get into my my symbiote bag. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, there's three. Actually, a few that gets into my symbiote bag for no reason. So first one is the Deadpool Secret Wars, where in that storyline, it's retconned that before Spider-Man bonded with the Venom symbiote, Deadpool did, which is why, and because of the fact they were bonded for like a small amount of time, Deadpool hopes, man, I really hope that my mind didn't twist this poor creature, because if it did, Lord helps whoever it bonds to next.
Mm-hmm.
So, and people generally consider it non-canon. In fact, Donny Cates consider it non-canon, but still, it's like,
I mean, so, who is bonded with the symbiote first has been retconned so many times.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's that. And then there's also Deadpool versus Carnage, of all people. And that one's hilarious because, like, Carnage is, again, he's just a straight-laced murderous psychopath versus a hero who literally cannot die, who's completely insane. You're just like, with like Carnage, he's like keep tearing Deadpool apart, and Deadpool keeps coming back like, "What up?" And it's like, what is this?
I know that makes him mad.
No. It got to the point where Deadpool actually, like, I don't even think he does this consciously. He's literally going after like Cletus. He's like it gets to the point where it makes Cletus start questioning his reason for killing people. Deadpool literally turned Cletus sane for like a few minutes, like to the point where Cletus, he literally just sits himself into a jail cell willingly and just goes, nah, see, as soon as I figure out my reason for killing folk and I get my head back right, Wade, you are first on my list.
Dang.
Not Eddie, not Venom, not Spider-Man. Deadpool is first on his list.
Dang.
And of course, Absolute Carnage, and then finally, the main ones is Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe.
Yes, which may or may not be what Deadpool and Wolverine is based off of. So with that, I'm looking at his hero, kind of like allies and then villains. He's obviously, with most of his allies, been a villain to them at some point since he is an anti-hero. Villains is kind of tricky. I see a Taskmaster, which we kind of covered. Ajax, what was in the first Deadpool Wolverine, unable to feel pain. I see one that's like T-Ray, that's like his arch enemy. Is that a thing?
T-Ray, hold on a second. If I recall correctly, they say he's his arch enemy. I think it's because of the fact, like, it looked like he did it, like he was on a mission and Deadpool basically said, nah. And decided to screw T-Ray over.
Dang.
But yeah, T-Ray, man, I've never heard that name before listening to this episode.
All right, so we can kind of land the plane on the character studies of the two of them. So with that, we're going to get into just movie prep. Kind of quickly talk about Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds were literally born to play these characters. I mean, just perfection.
Oh, Lord, yes. All right, so Hugh Jackman, I mean, what else needs to be said? Like, even though he doesn't have the height for the role, and the fact, like, he has he actually has a skin condition where it's hard for him to like wear like full body outfits, which is the reason why like most of the time you just see him in a tank top, or like he's barely in like his like full outfit, because of just how tight it is on his skin and his skin condition. But yeah, he personified Wolverine to a T. Like when you think of Wolverine, you think of that man. You think of Hugh Jackman. Like the amount of work and preparation he goes into the character, like I remember where like he had to lose like a bunch of weight and like bulk up tremendously just for the role of Wolverine in like a specific movie, and it's just like, dang, your work ethic is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the flip side of that, Ryan Reynolds, what more needs to be said about this man? Literal perfection.
Yes.
Like this man can do no wrong as Deadpool. Again, the movie that shall not be named, that was not Deadpool. That was not Wade Wilson at all. Well, actually, that was Wade Wilson, but it wasn't Deadpool. I'm telling you that right now. But yes, like if you can say like their casting choices that are like literally perfect, they are literally probably on Mount Rushmore for perfect casting for a superhero.
Yeah, so I definitely hate. I feel bad for whoever gets cast as Wolverine next after. So with that, then also they're real life friends. Like they have a true real life romance and friendship, like almost like best friends. It's really funny too because it's like not confrontational isn't the word, but it's like they give each other crap constantly about it. So like we're gonna see that dynamic like tie into the movie so often, and it was really cool. Like the very first teaser of Deadpool and Wolverine, before we even knew the name of the movie, when it was still Deadpool 3, and we didn't even know if we were going to get a Deadpool 3 after Fox went away, is him literally like sitting on the couch. Hugh Jackman walks by and he's like, "Hey, Hugh, you want to join Deadpool 3?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." And that's it. That was all we needed. And we all lost our collective minds. I'm like, hallelujah. The internet went stupid after that. So I think that's going to be perfect. And then even to just kind of help, this is dropping the Wednesday before Deadpool and Wolverine. If you just want to, or if you like want to listen to it before you see it a second time, covering that story. So story one, obviously the canon version of Deadpool's story. Essentially, yeah, he gets his powers, falls in love with Vanessa, makes friends along the way. I think that's literally all Deadpool 1 is. And then Deadpool 2, well, Cable may not be in this one. I think they said he won't. But with Deadpool 2, we just see, did the son or like the one that was trying to get killed, the kid, did he go back to the future or something? I can't remember.
I can't remember what happened to the little kid.
He spared the dude.
Yeah.
But essentially, it's like Vanessa, she got killed. The key thing that's going to come into Deadpool 3 is that Vanessa got killed. He took something that allows him to go back into time and jump through time, which is not good.
It was let's just say it was not canon.
So he reversed the fridging of Vanessa, and then obviously with Loki and everything going on, the TVA, also the multiverse, so just like kind of like incursions and stuff like that. So that'll probably tie into the Deadpool 3 as well. And then just also, yeah, we're taking a version of Wolverine, tying it into this, with also the death, mercifully, of Fox owning X-Men and the Fantastic Four.
But yeah, it's spirit greatness right here. I don't know what else to tell you. Just be prepared. Make sure you have that Wolverine bucket on deck.
Yes. So excited for that. All right, so with that, we're wrapping up our character study. So we're super excited for the movie to drop tomorrow as of when this episode comes out. So we're going to do a speed run of what's hot since we've essentially been gone the past 2 weeks. So this covers what's hot in anime, movies, TV, gaming, and just comics as well. So Meech, what you got?
I mean, pretty much in anime right now, One Piece is still going on. As you know, like Kaiju number 8 finished, and everything else pretty much finished right now. Just know Solo Leveling got announced for season 2. I'm ready. I'm ready for some pure Shadow Monarch action.
I read the manga for it. Oh my god.
I mean, currently in comics right now, we got like the Blood Hunt event in Marvel, and then you got the Absolute Power event in DC. Looks like Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, they're about to get reset to stage 1 again. Let's see what else is happening right now. Like movies is moving, right?
Trailer.
Wait, which one?
Captain America, Brave New
Oh, yeah. Captain America, Brave New World. Harrison Ford as General Thunderbolt Ross, and you get Sam Wilson as Captain America, and then Giancarlo Esposito in this mug.
We also have at some point the leader.
Yeah, apparently the leader is in this movie, and then also I'm not gonna spoil who appears in, but all I'm saying is the Red Door. That's all I'm gonna say.
And then we also have another Falcon that was in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the dude that he passed the mantle to.
Yep, absolutely, and yeah, and also in terms of gaming right now, for those who,
I'll take it from here.
Noah, I'll let you handle that one, big dog. I'm sorry for intruding your territory.
Recording this July 18th, the Thursday releases. It is currently 7:10. I have 3 hours and 50 minutes before EA College Football 25 drops. I will be playing this game for an ungodly amount of time. I can't say how I'm going to get out of what I'm supposed to be doing Friday for legal reasons and for my alibi. But yeah, we're going to go missing. This game has been gone for 10 plus years. I've seen clips. I've heard commentary. I'm excited for it. I don't think I'll ever play Madden again because of it. I've deleted a lot of video games off of my PlayStation in order to play this game. So this weekend I have freed up a lot of time, and a lot of us have, let's just say a lot of people are going missing and don't contact them. So EA College Football 25, the biggest drop here. Yes, my throat is currently sore. So
And just know that how he's feeling about college football 25 is gonna be me in October.
Yeah,
It's only fair. It's only fair. And then also, as you're listening to this episode, and it's probably gonna be mentioned in the big deal, is the fact that, like, hey, when you're listening to this episode, it's the day before DreamCon happens, and yeah, we're going to be there. So if you want to like come see your boys, come on down. You know, we'll be around in the halls, waiting for the panels where we got an RSVP for. But you know,
we will be teleporting like Deadpool into these spaces.
yeah, and DreamCon, you ain't hear none of this. All right, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Anything else you got?
I mean, really not too much.
All right, just to quickly wrap it up, Cobra Kai dropped the day of this recording, so July 18th, Cobra Kai Season 6, I believe, Part 1 of it has dropped, so going to tap into that as it wraps up. Demon Slayer is going to be a movie trilogy. That's something that I got announced. I don't know if in our last episode we were able to mention that. And then Bleach, 1,000-Year Blood War Part 3 is dropping in October, a trailer drop for that. And then obviously the biggest thing, Deadpool and Wolverine drops tomorrow, the day after this episode comes out. So with that, we're going to wrap up, hit us with some plugs and get up out of here.
All right, so for our Instagram, our X, formerly known as Twitter, and our Threads, BlurredCity22, like, comment, subscribe, stay up to date for all our release schedules and just all of our announcements. We also have our we also have a Discord linked in our Instagram page under Blurred City 22. That way you can join this fine community of degenerates. We have our YouTube and our Patreon, the Blurred City Pod. That way, hey, if you want to donate some extra cheddar, you get access to very exclusive episodes not before seen. And then finally, we have our email address, blurredcity22@gmail.com. That's where if you want to send episode suggestions, geek out, freak outs, random fan theories, your thoughts and review of Deadpool, Wolverine, or just commenting your favorite Wolverine or Deadpool story/moment. And if you have any criticism, it'll go into the spam box, never just hear the light of day again. Finally, I'm the Jedi born on Mustafar on Instagram and on TikTok, however long we got TikTok left. What you got?
All right. Just for some housekeeping, obviously next week we're going to do a movie review of Deadpool and Wolverine, so tap in for that. If you're interested, I guess we're going to kind of figure it out. I think we may be doing an Alien Romulus review. It depends. I'm scared because my co-host loves horror movies, and I'm praying this movie is not bad. So with that, also, we are doing our finale reviews. Those should already be up, of The Boys and The Acolyte. Those reviews kind of got truncated a bit just because when we were supposed to record the earlier episodes, that's when the hurricane hit, so we couldn't record that. So we're just gonna quick recap of the previous episodes and then tie into the finale. So with that, my individual author pages, we have my Instagram, Mitri_dash, that is METRI_DASH, and my X/Twitter, that's at the Matt-16. So with that, if you're interested in my book, Phantom Pains or Phantom Reckoning, A Most Irregular Tale, you can catch that on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and then also Kindle. So with that, you got any words of encouragement?
All right, so my words of encouragement is just don't simp. Just don't simp after death. You may never know whose wrath you may incur, and just who death may be simping after. And that person's name is Ryan Reynolds. I'm never gonna hold you up. So yep, just steer clear of that. You'll be fine. If not, then just go ahead and plan your funeral immediately.
Well, I can't follow with that because this is a simp-free podcast, as we've discussed before. So with that, it's not goodbye forever. It's just goodbye for now. And that's the Blurred City Podcast.
See ya later.